let's start planning. Who knows shorthand? Great. Linda, Lucha, you got some dry paper? Here we go. Mole, Talpa Europea, what do you got?
I can see in the dark.
From Boston University Center for Digital Imaging Arts, I'm Steve Head. I'm a freelance journalist from Boston.
And I'm John Black. I'm the entertainment editor for BostonEventGuide.com.
And this is the Post Movie Podcast. And in this show, we're going to be reviewing and discussing Fantastic Mr. Fox and Ninja Assassins.
Later on in the show, we're also going to talk about Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, and Black Dynamite.
And let's get started with Fantastic Mr. Fox, Wes Anderson's new stop-motion animated flick.
You like the movie?
Oh, yeah, very much.
What's it about?
It is about Mr. Fox, George Clooney.
The idea of the film is that Clooney is this fox who has opted to live sort of a mundane life. I mean, he's got a regular job as a newspaperman, but that doesn't. He has this yearning inside him to do or be what a fox is, to be nefarious. So at the beginning of the movie, he's talking with his wife, played by Meryl Streep, and they make the decision to move into a better place because they were feeling poor and they wanted to get away from his chicken-stealing lifestyle. And so they move into a really nice new tree. But it turns out you can put the fox in a new tree, but you can't take what's really inside the fox out. So he has a plan to mess with the farmers who own the land. So his mission is to take these guys. He just wants to steal chickens and apple juice, and get away with it. So that's pretty much his mission in life. Despite everything else, he's still, which I think is actually interesting. These the characters in the movie, they talk so, it's like they're having a wine and cheese conversation. They're sort of erudite and smug, but every now and then something comes up to remind you that they're feral animals.
But did you have trouble? It took me a little while to get into it because there's an animated fox, and it's George Clooney's voice. There's a badger, and it's Bill Murray's voice.
Yes.
So it took a little while because they are having that wine and cheese conversation through animated animals. Once I got used to it, I fell in love with the movie. I went right with it. But it took me a while to get used to the oddness of it.
I think with celebrity voices, that's what happens. You go through this moment of, who is that? They get like when the rat comes on screen. Who is that rat? Who's the voice? You recognize the voice, and all of a sudden, I think it takes you out of the story. It takes you out of the narrative of what's happening. And then in the end of the film, you find out it's Willem Dafoe.
Right.
Right. Damn, I knew it. I knew it. But
especially with someone like Clooney, his voice is so distinctive. He's not. He doesn't sound like anything but George Clooney. And there are moments here when he's got his trademark and he winks and whistles at the audience where it just feels like it's Clooney being cool. Mm-hmm. But once you get used to it, no problem believing that we're watching characters that are alive as anything else you'll see in the movie, even though it's stop-motion animation, little clay figures they bent one frame at a time or however they did it.
Could Wes Anderson have gotten the money to do this if he didn't have George Clooney? Or Meryl Streep or Bill Murray? Could he have done this just as a Wes Anderson thing without the celebrity voices?
No idea. No idea. I imagine it didn't cost a great deal, but I don't think many of his movies do. But the interesting thing is because of the way he chose to do it this way, people assume it's an animated or a stop motion movie that it's for kids. Mm-hmm. And we had talked about this. I just wondered, do you think it's a kids movie or it's suitable for children and does that even matter to you? Is it just a good movie or a bad movie and the kids will figure it out?
I'd show it to kids. I don't think it would be as entertaining as, a Pixar film to them.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think, how do I put this? I don't think that the story is as accessible as something like, a Pixar thing.
Yeah. It's not Toy Stories or, that.
It's probably, I don't know, not that easy.
Yeah.
Not that easy.
And I don't think the animation's eye-popping enough to distract children from watching it. It's not bright colors. It's not goofy characters. Mm-hmm. They play them pretty seriously. It's a pretty serious movie in a lot of ways. So I don't think younger kids are going to be able to appreciate what's going on.
No, it's not something for kids to get hugely excited about. But man, the animation, I watch this and I think, man, it is cool. The sets, the cars, the cityscapes, just that whole thing. It's a hell of a piece of stop motion animation. It was very, very cool. But that doesn't mean my nephews are going to dig it.
Yeah,
They're
I think
gonna like it.
just because of the, I wouldn't want to be there at a matinee with kids expecting a kids film.
And another thing is the relationships. The fact that and their use of certain words that kids wouldn't get, like they use Latin in the film. George Clooney talking about his psychoanalysis,
Right,
being
right.
in therapy. Terrific in terms of Wes Anderson stuff. But what I meant by relationship was, okay, so there's Jason Schwartzman's character. I forget who he plays. He plays George Clooney's son, Small Fox. Something, he's a fox who's unnaturally small. And there is, what's the guy's name? Christopherson. Christopherson?
Christopherson.
Yeah. He is, his father, Christopherson's father is sick. Has some sort of deadly fox disease or something like that. So he's staying in the Clooney Fox family's
Right.
tree. So there is some resentment from Jason Schwartzman's character with Christopherson that is hysterical. The word game play and the insults between the kid who seems to have everything in shape, like he's a father's perfect son. He does,
Right, with his meditation
taekwondo,
and
karate,
his vital
and
skills, yeah. And even the young girl fox,
yeah, going
finds he's
for
cooler right away.
You just destroyed the whole experiment. You better extinguish this magnesium. Stand back.
Wow.
Oof.
I like your ears.
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Oh, I like your spots.
Really? I used to cover them up, but,
You're supposed to be my lab partner.
I am.
No, you're not. You're disloyal.
Inevitably, that there is something to learn about it. Kids would take something away, like everybody has something special. Like the opossum can see in the dark. The kid has special abilities because he's small or something like that. It's just overlooking these certain things. But that relationship between those two is, to me, that was the hysterical. I think Jason Schwartzman or his character was terrific in that. What was the name again? I forget.
Ash?
Ash.
See,
Yeah, that was good stuff.
I thought he was good, but I was more fascinated by Clooney. And he's in he's in most every scene. And I think it's because there's just been an overload of Clooney between this and
He's
Men
in
Who
every
Stare at
friggin'
Goats.
film this month.
And he's in the Air.
Yeah.
That's
Up in
coming
the Air.
out.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because usually when an actor has 3 movies coming out in a row like this, you can't stand them. I remember Jude Law did this when he had Alfie, and there were like 3 Jude Law films in a row, and then he kind of fell off the map because people were just sick of him. I don't think it's going to happen with Clooney because they're 3 very different performances, and it's funny because each of them, when you go in, and it's been the same with me for each movie, you see him, okay, it's Clooney being Clooney. The way it's Clint Eastwood being Clint when you see a Clint Eastwood movie. But then you lose that. And this one took, like I said, a little longer because you didn't have the face to look at. You didn't have that X factor of Clooney charm when he looks at you. But it's amazing what he could do with his voice for this character. And I thought it was fascinating. And then for me, the comic part was having Bill Murray play a badger, an attorney badger, who he's probably not.
Always great.
Yeah, he's probably not in it that much, but he just delivers these classic lines, these Bill Murray lines. Sometimes I was wondering, though, it's a very different movie for Wes Anderson, and part of it's because he used animation like that. When you watched it, though, did you walk out thinking, that's a Wes Anderson movie?
I think
Royal
so. I think it's all about Wes Anderson. In fact, I think it's so much him. It seems almost sort of egotistical.
In what way?
It seems almost like this is something that he made that's going to really be enjoyed by, the crowd he runs with, his fans. It's that kind of a thing. It's so much his own that it's not so much I don't see it as so much as a Roald Dahl thing. I see it. I see it, and I would see it again, and I'd see it because I think the dialogue is terrific, and the film has tons of dialogue. It is talk. It's very dialogue-y.
And it has
know?
a great Wes Anderson soundtrack.
Oh, true.
Where, you know, like even when I remember when seeing Life Aquatic, he used David Bowie songs but sung in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this time it's odd. Again, it's just it's odd to be watching a claymation movie, which is really primitive animation, and then George Clooney talking, and then the soundtrack has the Beach Boys. But somehow that combination works, and I think it works because it's all Wes Anderson. These are things he puts together in a way that I find highly entertaining. You know, so, and it's not just, there are some bigger songs, there's some oddball choices for music, but it all works. The same themes, you know, of family that he's tackled in his other movies. He's always had brothers who fight, and there's, like you said, this is classic between Ash and Christopherson.
Do you mind if I slide my bedroll slightly out from under the train set? It's hard to sleep in that corkscrew position.
There's a lot of attitudes going on around here. Don't let me get one.
No, it's only just my spinal cord.
Sleep wherever you want, man. Here, take my bed. I'll just, I'll crawl under the bookcase. Who cares if I get splinters in my ears?
Never mind.
Oh, you gonna pout about it? Because I've had it up to here with the sad house guest routine.
I think his brother is the voice of Christopherson. Unless it's just coincidental that someone has the same last name as him.
It might be Eric Chase Anderson. Don't know if that's the same or not. But a lot of the themes are the same as his other movies. The pacing feels the same. You know, it's just quirky enough to not be interesting without being distracting. So you know, I think he's just getting that rhythm that he has with storytelling, and visually the things he would do in like Life Aquatic. You know, with the giant ship he built and the way the camera would scan around the different.
Terrific. And, there were some similar moments.
Yeah, and then,
you know, with the
what was Darjeeling Limited?
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
that shot where they walk through the train, you know, for so long. Again, there are shots like that in this movie, which is doubly impressive because, again, it's stop motion.
It's like an ode to cutaway children's books. You know, it's like. You know, those cutaway books where you see, you know, like he didn't have Life Aquatic where you get half the ship, but here you get, you know, they're underground foxholes.
Right, when they're digging frantically.
Yeah, terrific. I was listening to Mark Kermode's podcast. He had somebody write in and say that this movie drowns in smugness.
Really?
Which, yeah, he was pretty dismissive of it.
Did you feel that way at all?
I didn't notice.
Yeah,
I dig it.
That's all they. They didn't say what was smug about it. I just.
No. Just, you know, probably everything that was coming out of Mr. Fox's mouth.
Well,
everything. You know, or Jason Schwartzman's you know, character.
No, I think you talked earlier about, you know, there's Mr. Fox and he's denying his basic nature. You know, by which I get a kick out of it. The fact that he becomes a columnist, you know, in a newspaper, rather than, you know, the hunter gatherer he wants to be. But making that sacrifice for his family, and again, not wanting to be poor. I don't know where smugness comes in with that, unless they think they can't get over, you know, the charm of Clooney. But he doesn't.
That's why he got cast. It's his charm,
right?
I mean, Wes Anderson said in an interview that he was going for. The first thing he thought of when he was thinking, God, I was a Cary Grant type character who has this charm and some self-effacing, you know, wit, and the first person who came to mind was Clooney.
Yeah.
You know, so it works, you know.
And it definitely works because even if you think he's smug in the beginning, it works. He sells the ending. When, you know, Mr. Fox leads his friends, you know, in the fight against the farmers, who, by the way, I thought were hilarious.
Yeah.
It was Michael Gambon.
Yeah, Michael Gambon.
Which is just a classic voice. They looked outrageous. They just looked outrageous. And I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the original book. I don't know if it's an illustrated book or if it's...
I tried to get familiar. I actually went to the library to go get the book the other day.
Yeah.
They didn't have it.
But do you know if it's an illustrated book or are these just images that Anderson came up with?
There were illustrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the farmers are outrageous. You know, they're just great-looking characters. And then you give them Michael Gambon's voice, and I'm not sure who the other farmers were.
Brian Cox was...
That's it, Brian Cox.
The news guy.
Oh, he was the reporter.
Willem
yeah.
Dafoe as the Rat. Man, he's just so riveting as a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, I wonder if he's as frightening in real life, you know, because he does all these frightening characters. But man, you know,
Did you see Antichrist?
No.
Me neither.
I should have.
No, I
That's
don't know.
That's one of the films I should have seen.
I don't.
But I hadn't.
I don't know. From what I was talking to some other critics, and when they described what it was, I was like, I'm not going to go see that. I don't have to put myself through that. And they told me Defoe was great. Fine. You know, I don't want to see it. I'm much happier with his work here. You know.
Yeah.
And again, the thing I think is so cool is that even though you've got the visual of the Rat, it's his voice that sells it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just his
No doubt.
voice. And usually with Defoe, he's such a physical actor. You know, you see him perform. His whole body performs. So just to have his voice, and again, I don't remember it. I was like you. I couldn't figure it out to the end who it was.
Right.
But I don't think it's because he was using some kind of heavy accent or anything. I think it was just that good a performance that it wasn't immediately recognizable as, oh, yeah, that's Defoe.
Yeah, it just made you stop. It cuts through everything. You just know right away that this is some bad shit going on, you know, with the Rat.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about was, like, should I even care whether they're going to be making money off of this movie? Like, is it going to work? Who knows? I mean, like, that seems to be the thing. Is it going to make what they expect it to make?
Are they expecting new moo money? I don't think so. You know.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's how you measure a Wes Anderson success. I don't remember any of his movies being huge blockbusters.
Right.
You know, but they're all in the top 10 when the critics list come out.
Hell, I don't know. Okay, maybe I could be wrong.
No,
It could get nominated for best animated.
No, it's up
possibly.
against Up. It'll never happen. It's up against Up, and there's a few other animated movies that came out earlier that maybe technical achievement, except that it's such an old school style of.
Probably they're hoping. I'm sure they're hoping for something like that.
Yeah.
The limited release, and then
The
to
push.
get that kind of. It seems like too much of an in joke, though, to have
In
such
what
a
way?
wide. You know, because it's all about. It's a Wes Anderson thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's stuff that you know, the wine and cheese crowd is going to dig, but you know, maybe they'll. I'd be surprised if it struck with kids. I just
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, maybe they'll be fascinated by the animation. I don't know.
There's so much. Again, you know, they can go see Planet 51, and it's bright colors and silly Martians. You know.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, I
And it's
haven't.
bright
There you go,
colors
on
and
me
silly
again.
Martians. But there was enough of an adult twist to it that I got a kick out of it, and I'll admit to being a fan of bright colors and silly Martians. Pretty much, sometimes
Shiny
I go see movie.
I love
I'm
shiny
easily,
objects,
yeah,
man.
shiny
I
objects, right?
fucking love 'em.
You're like, that and Pretty Girls. You know, it's like, oh, what? Oh, the movie. I don't remember. That's what I think. It's too art house for kids. It's too art house.
It
for
is art
mainstream.
house, man. It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm thinking. So we can just segue into anything else.
Basically, there's 3 grabbers, 3 taggers, 5 twig runners, and the player at whack-bat. The center tagger lights a pine cone, chucks it over the basket, and the whack-batter tries to hit the cedar stick off the cross rock. Then the twig runners dash back and forth until the pine cone burns out and the umpire calls hot box. Finally, at the end, you count up however many score downs it adds up to and divide that by 9.
Got it.
Go in for Ash. Substitution! Ash, come out. You need a breather.
What? I'm out? What? I still feel good, Coach. Let me finish this 8th.
No, come on. Step out. Step out. Let's go.
Do you have any notes on Ninja Assassin?
I do. Did I give you?
You do. You're awesome. So
I'm doing the quick, trying to figure out what the hell Ninja Assassin was all about.
I think you fell asleep on page 10, and then you woke up on 18.
Somewhere after.
No,
yeah.
I like the idea of you trying to sell me on Black Dynamite, and I'll tell you to avoid Bad Lieutenant.
Really?
Yeah.
Even with Val Kilmer? You mean I would have to ignore a Val Kilmer?
Is it
movie?
a man crush? Is it a man crush? Val.
That's the whole reason.
Well, I'm gonna
Werner Herzog. I can't.
I'm gonna
You know.
I'm gonna explain about Bad Lieutenant.
Okay.
And all right.
Go
Yeah,
for it.
Werner Herzog, and it's Nicolas Cage, and it's Val Kilmer, and it sucks. I'm telling you, it's so over the top. Cage does some weird stuff in movies. Whether sometimes the part doesn't even call for it, but he does weird stuff. This is the most outrageous performance I've ever seen him give. He's a crack addict detective.
This isn't supposed to be his bottom out. This is
Well,
supposed to be his
comeback?
His comeback.
His big art house comeback? Not going to happen. He walks around. It's so funny. All right, his character has a bad back, but that doesn't make him like the hunchback of Notre Dame. He's walking around like a hunchback. He's got this 44 caliber Magnum stuck in his pants, like in the front of his pants, not even in a holster. He's walking around snorting coke, just drinking, sex with people all the time. But he's a good cop. That's why the other cops look the other way, even though he's outrageously high all the time. But you mentioned Werner Herzog, right?
Yeah.
There's one point at the movie, and I swear I lost it because the camera. They're in a room interrogating someone, and all of a sudden the camera moves down, and there's two giant iguanas there. No reason. There's just two iguanas, and it's like iguana cam. The camera's shooting up from the iguana's point of view. Evidently, now I actually had to have this explained to me by other critics, that those iguanas were only in the bad lieutenant's mind. And this was Herzog's way of showing us, how out of control he was. I didn't need that. I was so appalled by the whole lack of, or waste of talent. And another critic, one of the other critics goes, well, were you bored? I was like, no. But I wasn't entertained. I was angry through the whole thing.
That could be enough to hold you.
Would it? Would that be enough for you? Would you want it now? It's funny. The worse review you give, more people go, "Oh, I got to see it. You didn't like it," but I really didn't like this.
God, like 2012.
Would you?
Seeing it just for the
To watch it blow up? Yeah.
It's 120 minutes of destruction.
Yeah. Well, that's what this is, except it's Nick Cage's career. That's the destruction taking place.
I'm told he has a southern. Louisiana, Cajun accent.
Does he?
That sort of morphs into something strange.
I didn't notice an accent.
Oh.
But
Okay.
maybe because I couldn't get over just everything else he was doing. And I like, the original Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel, although, you're not supposed to say this isn't a remake, it's a reimagining. Which I don't know. But
did he direct he did the original? That was his?
No, that was Abel Ferrara.
Oh, right.
Ferrara?
Ferrara.
So, no, this is like what, Werner Herzog did, was it Aguirre, Wrath of God, that one? He took his film crew down into the jungle and they went nuts on him.
I know everything.
He took the film crew to New Orleans and they went nuts on him.
Yeah.
It's just awful. It was awful. And I guarantee tomorrow, because I already saw Entertainment Weekly, gave it an A. Critics are going to be creaming over this. Not me.
I don't have to pay for it, so.
Well, now you do. You missed the screening. Sneak in. It's not even worth sneaking in. So I would avoid that like the plague.
My girlfriend loves Werner Herzog, so that's
really,
it's going to play into the whole,
And you obviously have that
Werner
thing for
Herzog,
Val Kilmer.
way of life.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because what did he do? He did the one when he went to the South Pole. Was that his last one?
Oh, At Home at the End of the World.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't make it through like a half hour of that. I got it on DVD, and
Was it something about balloons, or was that something else?
I don't know. It was interviewing people who are crazy enough to go live at the bottom of the world. But just I saw nothing going on here.
Wow, that kind of bums me out because I was looking forward to seeing it. I mean,
Oh.
really, that was my plan for in the next day or two.
I'm sure-
outside of Thanksgiving was to go see Bad Lieutenant.
And the day after we meet, after you've seen it, I'm sure you'll give me shit about it. And how wrong I was. But I just could not stand it.
That's a perfect segue into Ninja Assassin because I was my senses were fucking assassinated. I
remember seeing you after. You were angry.
God, man, I just wanted to like this movie, and I don't know, maybe it was just my mood or something. Something was so. Oh man,
Well,
I just was like, why? Why is this so predictable? Why is I'm not believing any of this?
Okay.
And the action was cool, and oh my God, this guy gets his brain cut in half. This guy gets everything decapitated that's capable of being decapitated, and I don't know. Maybe it was just my mood.
Well-
I mean, there was a whole lot of blood.
Yeah, which is what I liked. And when I see a film titled Ninja Assassin, my expectations are pretty low. You know.
That was
I
my
want-
mistake. I think I
Yeah.
had I actually had something of an expectation for it, and I should have. One of the things I say to myself, and I've probably told this to other critics, is like, just don't have so many rules when you go into a movie. Just don't frigging have rules. Just don't have rules.
Yeah.
And you'll be happy because they don't get broken. You know.
So what were your rules going into Ninja Assassin?
I think I had a fucking truckload of rules going into the movie. And
How
I just was like, as soon as I saw the guy from Coupling, I'm like, I can't think of anything else but like
which guy from
Coupling. What was his? Was it Ben Miles? You know, the guy, the blonde-haired security guy, the blonde-haired official.
Okay,
the
yeah,
Naomi
yeah.
Harris talks to at the beginning, and I wasn't buying that.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know anyone in this
it's
movie.
like I kept thinking coupling.
So maybe he should have been killed earlier.
I thought he would, I thought he was going to turn and be the center of all the evil things that were happening in the film.
No.
I should probably explain what's happening in the film.
He's someone that
If it can be explained.
My only thought about him was when he reappeared, like he was in the movie and then he wasn't in it for a long time. When he turned back up again, I was like, who's this guy? Oh, yeah. He's the lieutenant who, ran away from everyone in the beginning. See, it's odd because I remember seeing you after the screening and how angry you were. And I was delighted. It was like I had to sit through New Moon. I had to sit through a lot of crap. Ninja Assassin, yay. The first guy who got his head sliced off, and not just sliced off, halfway.
Yeah,
like from the
I know.
nose
You can still
up
see
was
the
gone.
guts moving
and then
around.
it splat, it hits the floor, and the eyes are still looking at you. I'm in movie heaven.
You just know that anybody who has an ego, who's opposite the main character, is going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know? So
Don't
it was
you-
just a bloodbath waiting to happen. So I
Okay.
was just sort of looking at my watch.
Oh, see,
waiting
I
for all
was.
the, you know.
The bad guys are going to get it, and it's going to be a bloodbath. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen.
And the Ninja Stars are basically helicopters.
Yeah. Cool.
That's
huh?
what they sound like.
But the lead guy could. I guess he's a Korean pop star.
Yeah. Oh, what's his
Rain.
name?
Rain.
Rezo. Rain. He plays
Rain, yeah, and I guess he was in Speed Racer too, but I didn't.
Yeah, that's how
I've
the
kind of cut that
that's
part
how
of
the
movie's out of my mind.
Wish I could.
They produced it, right, with
Yeah,
Joel
yeah.
Silver,
Yeah, that's how they decided to do the movies.
because
Basically,
it's a first-time director.
Mm-hmm.
He was like an assistant director on some of the like on The Matrix and some other movies, but this is his first outing into cinema, and I think it's the perfect holiday movie. You know, you just want to, I've had a big turkey dinner. What do we do? Let's go see Ninja Assassin.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That would be
perfect
my
timing.
family, but that explains a lot.
And there was a lot of, God, man, a lot of, I think I appreciated the action. I was digging it, but
Did you want
I don't-
story
yeah,
too?
I
Did you
don't-
want well-developed characters?
story.
And
So the story. Let me see if I can try and sum up the story. It's about a secret society of ninjas who live somewhere in the world. I don't know.
Right.
Like somewhere in Nepal or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how they can get all these government vehicles to some mountaintop.
Yeah,
so
I
quickly.
already know you're thinking too much for this movie, but
And they kidnap kids from all over the world, and they bring them into this secret ninja training camp to raise them as ninjas.
right,
And the one rule that you don't break is dissing the guy who runs the place.
right.
So
That's the only rule. And what happens when he disses him?
kills his girlfriend.
He kisses his girlfriend.
Do you still think about her? Do you remember the sound she made when I stuck her?
So this guy, Rain, becomes the lone ninja warrior against all the other ninja warriors who are basically half ghosts.
Yeah.
They have a ghost ability to be able to disappear and reappear in shadows wherever your shadow is. They can, just in and out.
Right.
They're in there, you know. They whisper like ghosts too.
That was the only part that annoyed me. That annoyed me.
all the
Especially because the way you're sitting in the theater and they have the speakers behind you.
Ninja assassin.
Yeah, they're not whispering anything you can understand. It's just like they're saying peas and carrots, peas and carrots, peas and carrots. Oh, that must be ninjas. But I think whether you came in with rules or just were thinking too much. I didn't wonder where the secret training facility was. I didn't care that
he was the guy Ricky Yoon. Was he the guy that plays the main bad guy?
The older guy?
He just wasn't menacing enough, you know. Just wasn't. It's so predictable that this guy is going to buy it in a big way at the end.
Yeah.
So forget about that. Enjoy the action. I didn't. You did. Basically, is what happened.
But I'm like you. You'll go see Mr. Fox again. I'll go see Ninja Assassin again.
Yeah, I'd be willing to give Ninja Assassin another chance.
Yeah.
And I think people's moods at the time they're watching it greatly affects the enjoyment of the film. I mean, when you guys spoke to me after the film, I was like, you know what? You were right. I should have just said, forget it.
That must have been hours after we spoke to you because you weren't listening to anyone when we first walked out. You were just fuming. It was hilarious.
Black Dynamite is Dynamite. Unfortunately, the only place you can see Black Dynamite is the Coolidge. They have it playing as the midnight show. And I think I got an email from the Coolidge saying it's going to play at the Coolidge as a midnight show into 2010. Mm-hmm. So on weekends, Friday, Saturday night. The movie is freaking hysterical. I mean, I enjoyed this just Michael Jai White, who hasn't, I don't know, I think he did Soul Food, the series.
Okay.
And prior to that, he was Spawn.
Right.
And he helped, he basically, I think he was the main reason for this movie happening. And he wrote it, produced it, starred in it. The man is Black Dynamite. Mm-hmm. It is hysterical. It's a send-up of the early 70s blaxploitation films.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I'm a big fan of those
Shaft,
movies. Mm-hmm.
Cleopatra Jones. He brings so much womanizing ego to this that it's hysterical. But it's not only the character of Black Dynamite, who is this he's a karate trained guy, CIA guy who was dissed by the army in Vietnam, so he's got a lot of resentment towards authority. Mm-hmm. So the one thing you don't do is you don't sell drugs in the community. His, he's like, I want to be your
Black
friend.
Movie, though, right?
Black Dynamite. You can't be Black Dynamite. I want to be your friend, but I sell drugs in the community. So he draws the line, and it is, it is an ass kicking. It's just funny. It's edited. The stunts are 70s bad, which makes them hysterical. I think it has one of the funniest car crashes I've seen in a long time. The editing, the acting, the wardrobe, the clothes, just hysterical.
So is it more of like a tribute to blaxploitation, or is it more like a send-up like Undercover Brother was, where they're making fun of it all, or do they really try to capture the essence, realizing
they really
it's
do
funny
capture
anyway?
the essence of it.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, it feels like this was made in the 70s. I think this was like 73 or 74, and the idea is that you're in that time, and this is the movie that you're watching in the theater, and it's edited that way, and it's produced that way, and
so
it
platform
works.
shoes, afros.
Exactly.
And soundtrack, what's the soundtrack like? Because that was always a big part of, like Shaft and all Black Caesar, all those.
They have. I don't recall who exactly the performer was, but it has the whole Isaac Hayes type of vibe to it, if I recall. Just hysterical, like something of a Stax Records best of or something. It was just great, and the dialogue and his attitude is what really sells it. I mean, I think it even parries at times the Bruce Lee kung fu, like Enter the Dragon and stuff like that. I think I was really I was astounded by how funny this movie is, and I'm kind of like, I'd love to just say, man, you should really go see this, but the only way you can see it is at the midnight show.
Why do you think it's Midnight Show? Is it good enough to be a mainstream release, or is it just?
I don't know. You know, I was gonna ask the programmer at the Coolidge why just a midnight show?
Yeah.
Why isn't it?
Because I think in New York it was a mainstream release, like regular theaters. And
yeah, it's been
everything.
in New York since early October, I think. It's been
Yeah.
out for a while, and I was hearing these great things about it, so I did have an expectation going in. And yeah, there was some annoying moments in the film that had nothing to do, but the people in the theater were laughing so hard that it was like, I think they were on. It was actually kind of annoying hearing everybody.
Like for
you know,
like what?
Just laugh. I get annoyed by people in the. I'll admit,
Right.
I have my pet peeves about watching a movie, like yeah, name it. Whatever. Yeah, so some of them were happening during Black Dynamite. This couple of guys laughing so hard in the back.
That's the risk of a midnight screening, too. You know, people tend to get a little in the mood.
But these midnight screenings that and they have them all the time at the Coolidge now. They're not. It's like I don't know. I was trying to explain this. It was a gentrified midnight screening. I mean, there's moms bringing their kids to the movie.
To Black Dynamite.
Yeah, to Black Dynamite. It doesn't seem like as dangerous as a thing as if you were to see a midnight movie in New York in the mid-'70s, which maybe something like this would have played then. It's not the same sort of thing. It's a nice feel seeing it at midnight and all, but you don't feel the danger of Times Square.
Right.
You know, it's not so much like you're watching Grindhouse stuff. But man, I couldn't recommend it more. I wouldn't give it 4 stars or something like that if I was to rate it. But the fights he has in the film, the dialogue. I want to spoil it, but I'm not. I'm going to stop.
Yeah, it's probably like as a critic, you might say, well, it's a 3. But as a fan, you say, it's a 5. I had so much fun.
Some of the humor he gets away with in this movie is just hysterical.
I'll have to check it out.
Just hysterical. I mean, I wondered how the women in the audience were responding to some of the stuff.
You go back and
you know, like in this opening scene, you know, where you think he's making love to one woman, and the camera pulls back, and it's 2 women, and they start arguing or something over, and he's like, "Shh, you wake up the other bitches," and it pulls back, and it's a bed full of women. And they're all satisfied, you know. It's Black Dynamite.
It's Black Dynamite. Right.
Oh God, I don't know where else to go with that. I don't know.
Am I getting better, Coach?
Well, you sure as cuss not getting any worse.
Really? I mean, you think I could end up being as good as my dad if I keep practicing?
Your dad? Your dad was probably the best whack-bat player we ever had in this school. No, you don't want to have to compare yourself to that.
No, but I think I have some of the same raw natural talent, don't you?
You're improving. Let's put it like that.
Well, that wraps it up for this show. I'm Steve Head.
And I'm John Black. You can read my reviews every week at bostoneventguide.com/movies.
This is the Post-Movie Podcast. And in this episode, we discussed Fantastic Mr. Fox, Ninja Assassins, Black Dynamite, and Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. You can read the notes for the show at postmovie.wordpress.com and leave your comments there. Yeah, I was trying to give an explanation as to why I had fallen asleep for 15, 20 minutes or possibly longer.
We're
during
taking
the
that,
film.
aren't we? Good. That's never let them see your sweat. Don't tell them you slept. It's not gonna work.
I have no idea how that happened.
That's right.